Puts one up into the end zone. And the catch is made for a touchdown by Kyle Rudolph, his second today.
Bradford to the end zone. Rudolph! Touchdown Vikings.
And here is Bradford getting time, and the pass is caught by Rudolph. Breaks the tackle, gets the touchdown.
Bradford has time for the end zone, and Rudolph, he caught it!
Rolling. Here's Rudolph with a catch. 20. Bradford quickly gets it out. Another completion to Kyle Rudolph. Keenum looking, lofting, end zone, Rudolph, touchdown! Cousins with time to the end zone. Oh, what an effort that time! The clock, here is pressure on Keenum, and a touchdown for Rudolph. Cousins throws. Pass is caught for the win.
Cousins off his back foot. Rudolph is down there. Did he get it?
Yes! What a catch!
And you're listening to The Price of Business. This is Sigmund Kramer here with Chris Kidd, chriskidd Enterprises. Chris, buddy, how you doing?
Fantastic.
Hey, man, you are great at helping people, everyone from professional athletes to just regular old schmoes like me with their money, planning their finances, getting their head screwed on right when it comes to money because, they don't teach it in school. They don't teach it, especially, we're in Houston. There are a lot of professional athletes that live here. They didn't learn about it. They're getting these deals, these big deals, and they're blowing their money before they're even out of the league, and it's just real sad to see. And we've been talking to a lot of great guests about money plans, financial plans, and you're just so great at it, and I appreciate you being on today.
Oh, I appreciate the nice words.
Well, go ahead and tell our listeners about you and your business real quick, and then also introduce our guest today.
Well, I'm a financial coach, like you said. I help people from all walks of life, and really, it's just really about helping people have a better quality of life and being able to focus on the important stuff when your mind's not on money and money problems. So that's really my whole goal is to help people, one, get out of debt, manage their money in a good way to where they can, not focus on just money issues all the time, and then learn how to be good investors so they can, start building wealth or protect it and, just be able to enjoy a good quality of life. I've got a really good guest today as well that I think will be able to share some insights on that. Kyle Rudolph, and he plays for the Minnesota Vikings. In fact, he's one of the top paid tight ends in the NFL, and not one of the flamboyant spenders that you see a lot of times. I'm really excited about talking about that, but good to have you on, Kyle. Thanks for joining us today.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Well, tell me a little bit, I guess, about your, tell us about your background a little bit, how you came up, high school, college, getting to the NFL, and is there anything that kind of, gave you a good foundation for handling money, or was it something that you learned, when you got into the league, or I assume you learned
the
it
school
before
of hard knocks?
Yeah, I'm assuming you had a pretty good foundation before you got in there and started getting like your contract that you recently signed, I guess a couple years ago.
Well, for me, I grew up in suburbs of Cincinnati, and grew up with a maybe low to middle class family in terms of income, and both my parents worked full time. They did everything they could to provide for myself, my brother, and my sister. They had to make a lot of sacrifices to provide everything for us as kids to get to where we wanted to be in terms of, education and athletics and, giving us opportunities so that we could be successful. And then, I went on to play football at Notre Dame and studied business at Notre Dame for 3 years, and then was drafted by the Vikings in 2011, and going into my sixth season now in Minnesota. And for me, my, real first introduction to money was I took a personal finance class in high school, and it was about as basic as you could get, in terms of, managing a savings account, starting a checking account, getting a credit card to start to establish credit, just really learning, finance 101. And that helped me a lot then in college, kind of obviously as most college kids, living on a very limited budget, not having a whole lot, but still, doing things the right way, starting to establish credit, by using my credit card very sparingly and paying it off every month. Then, getting drafted into the NFL as a 21-year-old kid who's never been around real money, doesn't know what real money is like. I was fortunate I was able to work with a financial advisor from the Wells Fargo advisors who, I trusted very much, liked a lot. He helped me kind of bridge that gap from a 21-year-old kid to a young man with a lot of money. And, since then I've, moved on, and I now work with a team out in Denver, a company called IWT Wealth. And, my financial advisor in Denver has, done an incredible job. And, I am fortunate because I studied business at Notre Dame. So, I definitely wouldn't want to handle my own money. I don't think I know business all that well. But I have an idea of what's going on. And when they kind of tell me what their plan is, and, for an athlete, you have such a short window of time to make money. A lot of professionals, they start working at 22 and they work till they're, 55, 60 years old. And, if we're lucky, we might get 10 years to make as much money as we can. And, it's about setting yourself up for life after football. And, hopefully you're fortunate enough to make enough money that you don't have to, work a 9 to 5 when you're done playing football, and you can just kind of do what you want to do.
Yeah, and like you said, 10 years, that's a long career in the NFL. I mean, that's somebody that's played for quite a while.
Almost 3 times the average.
How'd you pick Notre Dame? I mean, that's a school that I actually love, but what were your deciding factors there?
For me, it was mostly all about football. I got recruited by Coach Kyle Rudolph, and loved everything that he had to offer, and then fell in love with the school and the atmosphere and the people there. And when you have the opportunity to go study at Notre Dame and have the Notre Dame education as a fallback plan, if football doesn't work out, it's not a bad plan B. So for me, initially it was all about football, and I thought Notre Dame gave me a great opportunity to go on and play at the next level. But then also when you have the opportunity to study at Notre Dame and get a Notre Dame education, it's not a bad fallback plan.
Yeah, that's it's a fantastic school for just an educational standpoint, and if you get to play football there, I mean, that's just really a cherry on top of the sundae. What was your first year like in the NFL? Do you remember kind of what that was like, that whole adjustment and everything?
Yeah, it was, especially for, myself and the rest of the guys in the, 2011 draft class, it was an interesting year because of the lockout. So, we finished our final seasons in college, and, the NFL locks out that spring, and, we're going through the process, combines, pro days, draft, and then the weekend of the draft, they, lift the lockout for 48 hours, and we're able to go visit our new teams quickly. And, you can't, then you don't see or speak to your team until the lockout ends in that following July, and it's like, all right, time to go to training camp. So, not having an off season my rookie year, made things even more difficult than it would be for a normal rookie. And, for us, it was just kind of being thrown into the fire, and everything was kind of a whirlwind because you're already, everything is already new. And, for us, we had a new staff, new coordinator, so our whole team was new. And, when you come to training camp in July as a rookie, you're already going to be swimming. And when you come to training camp in July without an off season, it definitely makes things a little more difficult. But you just get through it and you learn, and you kind of keep your head down and grind as a rookie, and then kind of see where the chips fall. And I was fortunate I had two other veteran tight ends in our room that helped me and mentored me, and I think played a big part in my future success.
What are some things that you would say that a rookie, because we got the draft coming up and everything, and what are some things that somebody would need to know that's just coming in, and they signed their first contract, and when they, because you don't get paid like the day of the draft, you still got to wait, and if you start going crazy, and some guys get drafted, they don't even make the team, they end up not playing, your big contract, the $36.5 million that you signed, just a couple years ago, I believe it was, and you don't get all of that money up front, and even the way that the NFL, the money is structured and stuff, it's not all guaranteed, right? Talk a little bit about how the money works and stuff, because there's bonuses and stuff. I know, like last year, Sean Lee didn't play the last game for the Cowboys. It cost him like $2 million. How does the contract stuff work?
Well, all contracts in the NFL are structured differently. They're set up differently. But for the most part, you have more. I think the only sport in terms of the major sports in the United States that our salaries are not fully guaranteed at signing. So we obviously have our guaranteed portion of our contracts, which no matter what happens, the team is obligated to pay. But we have to earn our money. When you sign a contract and you see the big number that they put on TV, that doesn't mean that's in your pocket. You still have to go out and earn your money every year. And in our game, you got to play at a high level. There's always younger and more talented players coming into this league that they can, pay less to do your same job. So, you have to stay at top of your game and continue to earn your money throughout your entire contract, because, at any time, if they don't feel that your value on the field is what they're paying you, they can just kind of get rid of that off the books.
Yeah, and injuries even. Injuries can just come out of nowhere and end somebody's career just at the drop of a hat. How do you prepare for stuff like that, or what would you say for somebody that may just be one of the guys that goes out and just starts buying stuff like crazy and overspending, and what would you tell them as far as, hey, you need to get your head screwed on right and think a little bit further down the road, and what would you say about something like that?
In our sport, it's the injury rate is 100%. You're gonna get hurt at some point. It's crazy to think about, but in the NFL, you look at the statistics. It's 100% injury rate. Every player gets hurt at some point, and you don't ever think about that while you're playing, because it's not how you would play the game. But you have to prepare for that, and when I say you have to prepare for that, it's you prepare financially, and there's ways to prepare for that. Like we talked earlier in the interview, it's you'd like to think that you can go play for 10 years and make a bunch of money, but the reality is the average career in the NFL is between 3 and 4 years. And, the way our league is set up with the new rookie wage scale, most guys that only play 3 or 4 years aren't going to make all that much money. And, you make a lot of money while you're playing, but it's not enough money to sustain you for the rest of your life. So these guys that come in and you're getting their first big paycheck, whether it's your bonus or you get into your rookie season and you start getting your, weekly game checks or your bi-weekly game checks, and you see all this money coming in, and you feel like it's going to be there forever. You can't spend like that. It's not sustainable forever, and it's hard for these young guys to have all that money in their account and not want to spend it. So, I always try to tell guys to find somebody you trust. If you don't have anyone that you trust, I'd be happy to help you find somebody that you trust. But it's just best if get that money somewhere that you don't have immediate access to it, because you have to sustain that money for a long period of time. And for us, a lot of teams in the NFL only get paid 9 weeks. I get 9 checks throughout the year, and we get checks from September to January. So a lot of guys, rookies, they come in and they get these checks from September to January, and they think that these checks are going to continue coming all year long. And all of a sudden, it's halfway through their first off season, and they're out of money,
right?
Because they haven't gotten a check since the first week of January. So it's important for and the NFL does a great job. Each team, I know us personally, we have our development team that tries to educate these kids, and because a lot of these kids are like myself. They're coming from backgrounds where they don't know what real money is. They've never had money. It was always families living paycheck to paycheck, and now you have a bunch of money, and like I said, you only get it for a short period of time.
Right. What are some of your plans like after football's over with? What do you plan on doing?
I'm hoping that I'm fortunate enough to play football long enough to kind of do whatever I want. I don't want to go work a 9-to-5 job when I'm done playing football, and that's part of my plan now with financially to start putting money away so that I can generate an income that's able to sustain my lifestyle until I retire, until pension and retire and 401k, stuff like that kicks in.
Right.
And I'd love to stick around the game in some sort, whether that's coaching on a high school level, getting into TV, media, broadcasting. Those are all things that I enjoy, all things that would allow me to still be around the game of football, which I love and enjoy a great deal, but I wouldn't be there every day like one of our coaches or a college coach. They put in so many hours. I'm doing that now. It's not something that I want to do when I'm done playing, but I still would love to be around the game of football.
Yeah, I don't think you ever really feel like totally leaving the game from any level that anybody's ever played at. You have that attachment still that you if it's something that you love, you just want to stick around it, but you may not want to. I certainly would not want to put in all those practice hours anymore. I see my nephews that are playing and stuff, and I'm like, how did I ever do that? That is, wow.
Yeah, especially college and professional coaches, the time that they put in, the sacrifice that they make being away from their families, it's a tough job.
Yeah. I don't know, from growing up, my dad was a coach, and fortunately, I mean, for me, I never really saw that side about not being able to see your parent that's a coach, because he was always coaching me. But I do know that they were, that I've seen, how the coaching lifestyle is, and always up there and working and everything. So I was fortunate. But it takes a whole lot of time. That freedom it's a huge thing, and doing things right financially in the meantime while things are going good really makes a difference for how that freedom's going to end up. I actually in my book Defeating Debt, I talked about Joseph and the story in the Bible with where he was at Egypt and talking about telling the Pharaoh, well, interpreting the dreams, and said, we're going to set aside this much and because the famine's coming, then in the good years, and then we'll have enough to sustain ourselves and even more so during the famine. And it ended up being 20% of everything that came in. So knowing how to handle that is very important.
Definitely, and I think that's a great strategy. When you're talking to kids about investing and generating wealth, one of the things that I always tell guys is, especially early in your career, it's about wealth preservation, not gaining wealth. You have a solid foundation, and the worst thing that can happen is you get into some investments that are a little bit on the riskier side, and you lose this chunk of money that you accumulated early in your life, and you have a great head start on the rest of the world and the rest of the people your age. Keep it, don't lose it, and then as you play longer and you accumulate more wealth, then you can add a little bit more into gaining wealth and making money on your money. But early in your career, the worst thing that you can happen is lose a bunch of money in a couple bad investments for whatever reason, and now you're stuck.
Yeah, you ought to consider doing something with coming on as some sort of a financial mentor to some of the young players once you retire. That might be a good role for you.
Yeah, they, like I said, the NFL does a great job, and especially I can speak for the Vikings organization. It's the only organization I've ever played for, so I only know how they do things, and they do a great job with our young guys and our rookies, and getting guys who have been around our organization for a long time and have done things the right way, and set themselves up for a successful life after football. Making sure that you get those guys around the young guys and try to just give them as much knowledge as you possibly can. And, the bottom line is we can tell these guys as much as we want and try to, what's the old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So, we can tell these guys and we can try to set these guys up as best we can. But, the bottom line, it comes down to each individual and the decisions that they make. And, there's a lot of guys in our league, and it's sad to say, but, they come from backgrounds without money, and they want to enjoy it as much as they can while they have it, and they're okay going back to a life without money afterwards. And, you just try to do all you can to break that habit.
Kyle, real quick, how can people keep up with you and follow you on Twitter? Any accounts or website or anything? What would you like to?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter and Instagram. Both handles are Kyle Rudolph. My name 82. So just Kyle Rudolph, the number 82, and like I said, I'm on Twitter and Instagram.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate you being on the show today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. And Chris Kidd, what's the best way for people to reach you, buddy?
chriskidd.com.
That was easy. It's 2 Ds, KIDD, right?
Yes, and even if you mess it up, you'll still probably find me.
Okay, that's good to know. Well, folks, this is Sigmund Kramer, and we're going to be back with more Price of Business right after this. Stay tuned.